Welcome to Quickshots.
Welcome back to Quickshots, where we answer your questions, and we are the luckiest podcast because we've still got Schmitty with us this week. Welcome back again, young Schnitz. James has still got the COVID on a very particular week. However, we've got some. I'm going to give you two questions this week because I always feel like James loads me with them.
Yes.
So the first one here is from Alana, and I think we both know Alana. She's a great young client of ours. She said, very aggressively, I love it, can I take equity out of a property that isn't built yet or finished, but I know has gone up considerably in value? What do you reckon?
Great question, Alana, and then, very aggressive mindset there. So, look, you can't take equity out of that property until it's completed. Obviously, a bank will need to do a valuation and, take security, which they wouldn't do unless the property was handed over and built. However, I think that there are some things that can be done in order to prepare you and expedite the process of buying during the construction process. One of those things is you can approach your broker or your bank and just get a bit of a preliminary assessment on what your capacity would be to buy once it is built and receiving a rental income. And then that would give you an indication on borrowing capacity. And then given title profiles on most land in Australia today, there may be a 6-month lead time into what you're looking at or, certainly a 90-day lead time. So depending on where you're at with construction, you could secure a property on the basis that, it would be built. You would then be able to pull equity out of it. By the time it titles and ready to settle, you'd be able to have the equity to complete settlement. So, look, that's probably I think I've answered that. I don't know. Anything to add your end on that one, Schlingers?
No, I think you've answered it quite well. And I mean, if you're comfortable doing that and you are aggressive, I mean, your finances better than anyone. If you're across them, you're heaving to get into the second one, I mean, it's not a bad idea.
The only risk, though, and I will say that you've got to consider this, is that, build timeframes can push out and settlement timeframes could come in for all you know. So there is some variables there on timing. But, look, you've got to consider your own risk profile and decide what you want to do.
You could still contract, like halfway through your build.
Yeah, make it subject to finance or something like that. So I would probably avoid going unconditional until your house is built.
Ooh, you're a safe bet.
Therese has sent one in. So Therese has been looking to buy a house and everybody's saying, including the papers, that the market is coming down, but I'm still struggling to find something. Why is this?
Oh, Therese, I'd love to know where you are. You in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, Alice Springs? I don't know. But, it's like this interesting dynamic that we're seeing right now. We're looking at all these different numbers and going, oh, it's still hard. Prices are still very high. It's not easy. There's no doubt about that. And I would say that when we look at property listings, they are significantly down. So there's actually less properties on the market for sale. So, is it a demand and supply thing? Are people getting nervous so they're not listing? Or do we just have still significantly more buyers than sellers? But looking here at total property listings, Sydney's actually up on the year. We've got 11% more listings in Sydney at the moment. That's quite interesting. You might be getting your people just saying, oh, I want to finally make the most of this and sell out to make the most money, and maybe they left it a bit too long. Melbourne's down on listings 2%. Brisbane is down 17.5%. Maybe, Teresa, you're looking in Brisbane, and thinking I can get a steal here, but it's actually not easy. Perth's down nearly 1%. Adelaide is down 20.6%. So nationally, and sorry, I'm not going to mention the other ones because I don't want to reel off too much data, but nationally we're down 6.2% on our listings year on year. So we have less properties for sale, making it extremely competitive. And can I say, we had this auction for a couple of blocks in Coomera on Tuesday night this week, and we had 10 registered bidders for 3 blocks of land. I found that quite amazing. It was more than sort of, 2 people and a bit for each. Actually, three bidders for each if you sort of spread it out. There was a couple more favourites. But I understand you've got to have multiple bidders to have an auction, but I still found that really fascinating, Mitch.
Yeah.
So that could be your problem there, Therese. You might have to hustle a little harder. Last one here is from Steve. The golden question: will construction prices come down?
Jeez, wish I had a crystal ball for that one. Well, I guess the reason that construction prices have increased so rapidly comes down to supply. The main aspects being the supply of materials, timber, carpet, steel, all of the things that go into building a house is hard to get. But then you also have the supply of technical expertise, which is hard to get. Engineers, architects, all of that stuff, which is in high demand and low supply. And then, of course, you've got labour and trades, which is also in low supply. So I guess once the demand for construction starts to ease or the supply of those things increase, we'll certainly see it stop going up. But what's been the case over the years is it doesn't typically tend to come down. It'll stop going up, which is great, but I don't think that construction prices will go back down to where they were 12, 24 months, or certainly not, 3 years ago.
And Mitch, I mean, what's going to happen first? Are we going to have more people to employ coming to Australia, meaning it's a bit easier and there's more trades around to actually loosen up on the labour shortage?
Yeah.
Or are we going to actually unlock the materials supply? So, what's going to happen first? But also, I mean, on what you were saying, the discussion, and we ask our builders all the time, is that materials will sort of stay at their price, but labour may come back down as we start to bring in more migration and skilled people.
Yeah, agreed. No, I think that international migration of skilled labour would be contributing to that and help normalise that area. But supply I still see is going to struggle over the foreseeable future. But either way, make sure you get a builder that's try and get fixed build prices where you can and fixed build times, and don't buy too far out from registration. That's sort of some of the things you can do to mitigate your construction prices.
And I mean, we just answered a question before about buying a little bit further out, but we're talking like 6 months. Some people are buying blocks of land where they're saying they're not going to be built, like they're still paddocks. They're not even going to be delivered for at least 18 months. Oof.
Yeah.
That's risky because you don't know where you're going to be in 18 months. You might lose your job, change jobs, have a baby. Your whole situation might change, which means your ability to borrow will change and then potentially fund that purchase. So you don't want to be in a position where you're losing your deposits. But anyway, digress.
Awesome.
That's it for Quickshots this week, guys. If you got your questions, send them through the gram, emails, whatever it may be. Thank you, Brett Smith. We got your awesome question last week, and we want to thank you for being an avid listener of the Double Shot.
Thanks very much for having me.
Thanks for listening to another episode of The Double Shot with your favourite cousins, Alex and James Fitzgerald. If you've got a burning question or something we absolutely need to talk about on the pod, please write to us. Both of our emails are in the show notes. For little real estate tidbits and a little bit of banter, a lot of banter, you can follow us on the gram. Our handle is thedoubleshot.podcast. That, my friends, is thedoubleshot.podcast. Until next time, think of us when you sit back and sip your next double shot.